This is the Healthology Experts, where we talk about the art and science of health and longevity. I'm Dr. Traveler, and thank you for joining us. All right, guys. Hey, welcome back. Today, I am with a great friend and a patient. This is Jim Higgins, and really, I don't have like his official. I need to get the official resume, but really, it's very long as far as just life and business and then challenges. And so, really, why I wanted to pull Jim on here today is because he's always impressed me with. He'll tell me these stories. We'll get talking, and he'll be like, "Well, this is what I did, and then this happened," and I'm like, "Oh man, that would knock most people down." And for him, he's just like moved on to the next. I'm sure there were challenges. So what I'm going to do is kind of have him give his introduction, kind of give us a rough outline of what's happened in his life as far as just kind of his health journey. But again, as those who have followed us on this podcast, it's physical, mental, spiritual, it's all of it, and that may come into play. So I'm going to kind of turn it over to you, Jim, for a second. Just tell us a little bit about your health journey from childhood on up.
Yeah.
Give me kind of a rough idea.
4 hours? No.
Yeah.
No, thanks, Justin. It's great to be here. I appreciate it. I've had a really interesting journey, like everyone's. I think, when I was younger, played all sports. I played everything, right?
Yeah.
I was always out till dark. My mom had to find me. I grew up back east, and it was in the days of no phones, really. Your phone long cord. And
the good old days.
No cell phones, no
Yeah.
nothing, right? So you'd have to kind of like ask around the neighborhood to find your kid, and I was always on a basketball court or some place playing.
Yeah.
So love sports and love being active. I actually, when I moved out to Utah from back east, got into tennis, which was kind of surprising for me. It wasn't the sport I played. It was, a challenging sport, certainly. It's an interesting sport. It's one where you can't pass the ball off to someone else.
It's you.
You can't wait for someone to lose. You have to actually beat them all the way, right?
Yeah.
Time, clock. There's no clock on it. So it's a really a game where you're a sport where you're really exposed.
Yeah.
It's a tough one in a lot of ways. But so I started playing late when I was like 14. Picked up a racket, and that's very late for that sport if you want to get good. But played a lot and had really picked it up fast, and I was able to go do some things. I think this is probably, the story is probably part of the way I approach things. I remember my first year of playing tournaments. I was 15, and kids are 12 years old, been playing tournaments,
Yeah.
And I lost every match for the whole year.
Oh,
it was
man.
brutal. I was like, wow, what am I doing? Am I wasting time or what? But looking back, that really defined me.
Yeah.
And experience, because the following year I won a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I remember
that's
that.
what I'd heard. I mean, from
so,
from the family, I'm like, Jim was an amazing tennis player. So that surprised me that you had a.
Yeah, it was hard, and it's that stick-to-itiveness, they call it, and I think that's really part of life, and it's how you look at it. So
the grit.
Yeah, and I like it, and so part of that journey is I played in the juniors. I played national juniors. I went my senior year of high school. Went to it was like a tennis academy just for like 15 guys in the country, and so very specialized in California. I lived there, and it was tennis every day, all day kind of thing. And we went to school on the side, it was fun, and met great friends and did a lot of great things. And so had a lot of exposure to different schools, and was fortunate enough to be highly recruited, and went to San Diego State, who was really, really good at the time in tennis. They were one of the top programs. And it's funny because I look back and my dad was like, well, maybe you should go to take the full ride scholarship to Harvard or the one to Yale.
Yeah.
And I'm like, those aren't tennis schools.
Yeah,
they're terrible.
Tennis.
Never play there. Yeah, that's crazy. But so kind of fast forward, I go through my freshman year, and I have a really successful year playing, and then I had issues in my back, and I started feeling like, what's going on? And this is why I love working with you, because I was on the unfortunate side of getting bad treatment. I was treated, I had a disc issue is what it was, and they were treating me for muscle spasms, and so it was like the last thing they should do. So anyway, I remember I was really in a bad space, and that was, that was a long time ago. I mean, I'm 53 now, so 19, they just didn't have the things that they have now. And so I remember I had to have surgery. I mean, I could barely walk.
Yeah.
Pain was just terrible. And my disc had exploded and kind of gone up my spine. And so they said, look, and the actual surgeon tells me as he's wheeling me away, he says, to the operating room, which is really crazy. They used to, it's happening. He goes, you got to get your head wrapped around, you might come out of this and be paralyzed.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I'm like 19. And honestly, what went through my head was, I won't say the word, but blank, no, I won't. I was really kind of fired up about it.
Yeah.
I fortunately was able to
that
walk
grit again.
And I don't know. I mean, a lot of it is, just fortunate or lucky in life. But I had to learn to walk again, so I did that. And it was hard, when you're going pro and things. But fortunately, I did get back into college and then played the pro circuit after that.
That's
years.
amazing.
So
yeah.
It was crazy. But yeah, that was thrown into the mix. And back then, they just didn't know. And so, you always deal with back issues, because now later in life, that's why I'm seeing the doctor.
Yeah, that's right. That's why he's a patient.
That's right. I pay the price a little bit, but I think that coupled with fast forward, I did the thing I could do in sports, and I ran the race as far as I could. Afterwards, got into business and was fortunate enough to build a tech company from scratch, and the height of the company had over 1,000 employees, and
he's amazing with that. And I don't even know the half of it, but the little I've heard is
it was
smart guy.
Yeah, I don't know, lucky, better lucky than good. Put really smart people around you. That's what
there you go. Do. Surround yourself with great people.
It's great, and it's been great. But that changed my perspective, because it is still hard. Like things are challenging, and it might be something that you run into with a back issue. It might be something you run into that are challenges in business or whatever it might be. Fast forward today, I got into I call it my healthy midlife crisis. Maybe you're in it now. I don't know.
Yeah,
He's
that's
going to
right.
be doing triathlons.
Well, just before he says all that, he's going to talk about triathlons, right?
Sorry,
triathlons.
A little bit,
but he is allowed. So I'm borrowing his bike because it's like the drug of choice. He's like, here's a little bit so you can taste it.
Yeah,
and
that's right. I sucked him in.
So yeah, Jim is part of the. My wife is.
When he's famous, he's a professional triathlete, and he does this on the side.
Yeah, that's right.
Then I'll say, hey, I was part of that.
I'm pretty sure that's not how it's going to go,
Yeah,
but I appreciate him. But yes, so keep going on.
So yeah, I mean, there's just a couple things I found when I was, I was still struggling with back, issues, and even sitting in chairs, and it was just very difficult for me. But what I did was I said, well, what if I went the opposite way? I don't know if this was smart, but I said, what if I go to the extreme of exercise rather than trying to rest? Because the rest wasn't helping me.
Yeah.
The rest was making me worse, frankly.
Yeah.
And now on the other side of that, the extreme side probably wasn't the right way to go, but I did feel much better. I got into CrossFit for like 4 years, and I was in the gym, CrossFit, I'm a skinny guy. I was like, that scares me. And I never had done it, but that was kind of what attracted me to it too, because I said, I can't do that, is the first thing I thought. And then I said, but you can start something, right? And then the things that you're able to do, you can't believe that you could accomplish some of those things. I got in triathlons, and the first thing that I said at triathlon, I'm like, who's crazy enough to do an Ironman? That's insane.
Yes.
Like, it's impossible. I mean, that's what went through my head. And then I heard of somebody that did it, and I was like, well, maybe. And again, it was one of those extreme exercises and things, and you had to train hard for that. But I never felt better in a lot of ways. I think I pushed it too hard, and I snapped an Achilles, so I had some injuries, but
So they do say, it's interesting you say that, because a lot of the research now is really saying there is two. I mean, it's finding that, but really strength, right? Strength is so they're moving away from rest, and most science is saying, hey, if you've got an injury or something, don't rest it.
Yeah,
you need to get it strong.
Yeah.
So that's the way it's going.
And I'm going on, but like fast forward.
I love it.
Now, kind of battling a different health issue, which has nothing to do with exercise. You exercise your whole life, and then you get a diagnosis that's pretty serious, and will definitely force me to change again. I mean, I've always been healthy, taking care of myself, and yet sometimes you're given some challenges that you didn't do anything to cause. They just come. And so it will change my thought process a little bit. And I guess if there's a message I have to share that hopefully can help somebody.
And that's really what we want.
That's why I'm here.
The perspective, right?
That's
why I told Jim, I'm like, he's facing these challenges right now, health challenges, and I've just been impressed with him. So I'm partly for me. This is partly selfish too. I'm like, good. I want to hear what's in his mind. Yeah.
I think there's a couple things. It's a little bit of. We worry a lot about what we can't control in life. I think we all do that. We say we don't, but we do. And there's good stress and there's bad stress, right? So the good stress is you're nervous for a test, or you have some work to do, and it pushes you to do something, or you're a little scared of being in the CrossFit gym like me, but it was good, right?
Yeah.
And there's bad stress where you're worried about things that you can't control, or my diagnosis is one that is really serious, and so what does that mean for my life, or what does it mean for not living maybe, and stuff like that. So it does change it. I guess the best way, there's a couple things I think are really important. One is don't judge your feelings. I think I do that way too much in terms of when I say to myself, oh, kind of man up, or I shouldn't feel that way, or come on, suck it up, or be tough, or and
kind of like what you used to say to yourself, like when you would grit it out, like when you were having a losing season.
And I think all that does is kind of stuff some things down, right?
Yeah.
I think it's healthy not to judge your feelings. Like if you can't get out, I mean, look, some days I don't want to get off the bed. I'm in pain, right?
Yeah.
I'm in pain every day, and so, but you can also use that as a little bit of a motivator too. Again, turn that negative thing into something positive, and it's okay whatever you do. So whether it's being a professional athlete, or doing extreme sports, or now just thinking about, okay, what does my day-to-day life look like, and how do I go through that a little bit differently? It's okay, because there's always something that you can maximize being in the position you're in. And that's the most important thing I believe in life, is that you can do a few things. I look at, there's two things that I can control, and I can't control anything else. I can control my effort, and that's mental as much as physical and spiritual. And from the spiritual side, I can control my faith. Meaning I can really work on, it's active. Faith is hard to have. It's more than belief. It's like, okay, I believe, and then I'm going to go do a little bit more.
Take the steps.
So those are two things I can control, and I think that positivity, because it's hard to be an optimist, but look, you'll never take the first step in doing anything, in being healthy or anything else, if you fall into the pessimistic route, and that's very easy to get to. It's a simple way to go. It's easy. It's natural for all of us too. We don't have to work at it. I mean, I feel terrible today, and I don't deserve this, or why? The question why. I don't think there's any value of asking that in a lot of ways. It's just, okay, here's where I'm at. What can I control? And then how can I be the best me in this scenario? And that's okay. Like, you don't have to be perfect. I remember just first time I walked around the block, learning to walk again was one of my biggest triumphs of all of the things I've done.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, that's what I think of when I think of the health challenges that come upon us, whether it's age or whatever it might be.
So in moving forward, I'm interested, so do you still I mean, because some days you'll wake up and you're like, it's just not going to happen. So as far as are you a goals oriented? Are you a goals guy?
Yeah, I'm a goals guy.
Goals and aspirations, okay. So now that there's a little more question, how has that changed your, like, do you still have the goals and you just say, I'm gonna, like, this is what I'm shooting for?
Yeah, it's hard to be, some people say, if, you can't measure something if it's not specific, right?
Sure.
Business is like that.
Yeah.
What's the data? What does the data say? What are you looking for in the data? I get that. However, there's a lot of things that are unknown. Whether you're in business, we built a product that never had been conceived before. So will it be good or terrible? You don't know that, right? You do as much as you can, and then there's a little bit of art to the science.
Sure.
And I think that's where I'm at, because I don't know the situation I might be in, therefore I'm not sure what I might be able to do and not. Right.
Yeah.
So I just say anything you're in, whether, I have a friend that just went into a wheelchair, really active guy.
Yeah.
And it's like really hard for him. But he's looking at, okay, what could I maximize in the wheelchair side of things? And he's already thinking about, I'm going to races, I could do things. And he's physically, healthy otherwise. So, but he's not running a race, right? So
Sure.
Obviously he just puts those goals down. I think that changes sometimes, and people have a tough time with that.
Yeah.
You always envision yourself as your best self, and
Yeah.
I always remember, man, I could run forever, and I was just in great shape, and but I just think we beat ourselves up a little bit too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, see, that's what, when you're talking, I'm just like, I'm trying to contemplate. We had talked a little bit, and in the last episode, I actually had talked about that Chris Hemsworth, like accepting that we're getting older while still, like, not laying down in the grave and just saying, all right, I'm just going to wait here because I'm accepting this. And so that's kind of been the challenge for me. I've always said, so I get teased because I had this podcast. I had a podcast a while ago, and in business called Live to 121, and I wanted to live to be.
You might make it.
Well, because most experts say that the human body is really designed. If all goes according to plan, we live to be 120. And so that's why I said, well, let's shoot for 121. But really, it's become not necessarily just the longevity, but I said, are you living the 121 life? Like, you go for quality over quantity. Like, who knows? Maybe you and I are going to 121, right? But
I'm not going.
I know my wife's like, please don't. I don't want to.
Yeah.
But then it's that I think what you're saying is more than the like you want to accomplish things, but ultimately you're going for quality and I mean, you're like, I'll accept whatever comes. Like, you can't change some things.
Some things you can.
So is that kind of a fair way to say? So for me, when I'm saying, all right, live to 121, from what I hear from Jim is, yeah, take what you know, but really, I mean, the aspiration is take a quality. You wake up in the morning and you say, this is what the day has given me, and so I'm gonna live to the 121 life today, this very moment.
Yeah, I think in anything you do, I mean, I'm not going to 121 just because I don't want to. He's going to be working my back every day.
Yeah, that's right. It'll be a lot of adjustments.
But I mean, on a serious note, like, my diagnosis won't let me.
Yeah.
So I know that. That said, it's about having, for me anyway, it's about having a vision.
Yeah.
If where there's no vision, man perisheth, and I believe in that scripture. And it just depends on what that vision is, because you'll be surprised what you can do.
Yeah.
It's if you never take that first step. It's not like you say, I'm going to build a business that's going to be really big, and I mean, I just started building stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was going to grow as big as it did. I didn't know I could have the tennis career I did. I didn't know I could do
an Ironman,
even finish it.
Yeah.
I didn't know I could do things. And, most people talk themselves out of it, like I said, pretty fast. And so if you have a vision of whatever it is, whatever health situation you're in, even if it's like, man, walking, I remember 10 steps was really hard for me at some point in time.
Yeah.
But you're like, okay, I'm going to be thinking about 20 steps. Those are goals, but my vision was I'm going to be back on the tennis court.
Yeah.
And it was a crazy vision, but that's good. That's motivating.
Yeah.
And when you look back, it's really rewarding, and you can build on that experience to do other things. So, again, it just depends on sometimes what you're given, but like there's just no value in accepting things that, if you can get up, like I can walk.
Yeah.
I know people who can't.
So it's that trick of like, accepting where you're at while still having a vision that things are going to get better.
Yeah, like the 121, and even thinking that way probably changes the way you think about, eating, and sleep, and exercise. To just say, well, what is that? You just have it. If you don't have it, you're not even gonna think about that too much.
And that's part of mind games.
It
right?
is. It's a mental thing, and again, you can achieve way more than you think you can.
Yeah.
But you can't without effort. And, people talk about that. And I'm like, well, they call it work because it's not always fun. Work is, you got to be good at the stuff that you hate. That's how I think about work.
Right.
I hate talking to lawyers in Chicago and New York. Sorry if there's any lawyers
Sorry, attorneys out there.
It's like so brutal. It's so combative, everything. But I'm really good at it.
Yeah.
Because I have to be for my role, right?
Yeah.
And so, some things, I hated doing this cross-country sled thing. And, a long time ago, I just hated that machine, man. And I just had to be on it like every day.
Yeah.
For a couple of years. I
love the saying, like, from again, religious standpoint, but like where God is not interested in our comfort, He's interested in our growth. And that's what I hear. Yeah. That's what I hear from you.
No, it's well said.
Okay.
It's well said.
Well, I'm not going to keep Jim any longer. I sure appreciate. Like honestly, you guys, I had to get Jim on, and you guys all know, those who have been following. You're actually the first guest we pulled, and I was like, when this goes big, everyone's going to remember. Yeah. Jim was my number one, and really that I was like, I've just got to talk to him. I want to get more of these perspectives, but I just appreciate him so much. Just his example. I love when he comes in and we get to talk. And anyway, I just thank you.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you wanting to make everybody around you better. And that's the whole reason you're doing this. This is a labor of love for him. He doesn't need to do this. This is sleep, But it really is, there are certain people in life, in my opinion, that really do care and are driven by a mission and, sacrifice themselves for the betterment of others, and you're definitely one of those people, so
thank you. Yeah, and I right back at you.
So listen to him. I do.
Okay, so I just want to thank Jim again, and this is Dr. Traveler and Jim Higgins, and we're signing out. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. All right, thanks for listening today. Hey, if you could please go on, like, subscribe, make a comment, go on to all the other social media. Go on to Facebook, Instagram, go on to TikTok, search for Healthology Experts. It really helps us to grow and push this message. And if you gain value from this, then go on and please participate. We try to get to all of the questions or anything that you have, any responses or comments. So go, like, subscribe, do all the stuff that helps us. All right, guys, see ya.